Anyway, but while we're still on the election stuff, let's go into Ron DeSantis. So he did an interview with Megyn Kelly. I can't believe she still has a show. So I don't know what her show's called. Justifying Low Views with Megyn Kelly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called at all. No idea.
Anyway, she ripped into him. We're going to watch a little bit of this. So this was she did an interview with Ron DeSantis, and we're going to go ahead and.
So why can't Disney oppose your law?
They can.
And why can't they promote this agenda in their viewpoint?
They can.
Without being punished by the state.
They're not being punished. We're just simply removing special benefits that they have had that really weren't.
They were worse off when it was done.
Okay, so I love how he's such an idiot. So she's asking him a real simple question, right? You went after Disney over all the supporting the LGBT community, right? Because he's anti-gay and all that stuff. So you went after Disney. Why can't Disney, an independent corporation, do their thing without being punished by the state of Florida? I didn't punish them. I just took away their benefits. I did.
Well,
I didn't.
It's kind of hard not to see that.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah. I was like, "What the hell are you talking about, Ron?"
It's potato. You can call it anything you want, but you're sort of not really answering the question by trying to attack the words of the question.
Right. I didn't punish my children. I just took away their toys.
Right. I just took away all their privileges, but it wasn't a punishment. I just did it because I just decided those privileges were unnecessary.
Yeah, he says he's just on top of the guy's just he has no personality. Just watch him. He's got nothing.
Or before they spoke out.
Well, no. I mean, it was, first of all, we didn't actually do anything to Disney. There was a government that had been in place that they had effectively corrupted, which was not the way it was supposed to be. By the way, if you look at how this started in '68, so we changed the governing structure, which really didn't even impact them directly. They're just indirectly, they don't like it because, they don't get to call the shots anymore. But they are not entitled to corporate welfare. You do not have a constitutional right to corporate welfare.
I know that, but it's not about entitlement. It's not about entitlement. If I go to my boss and I say, you sexually harassed me, and then suddenly he reduces my salary from $200,000 to $100,000, that's retaliation. I am worse off. And it's not a defense to say, well, everybody else in the company was getting $100,000. You've reduced my certainty. You punished me.
No, but that's an employer-employee relationship. I think that's much different.
But this is the state taking away a benefit.
But your position is basically that Florida should be forced to subsidize Disney regardless of how it's going to use those subsidies, so that they can weaponize the subsidies they get from the state and turn it against state policy. Why would we want to subsidize that behavior?
Well,
Why should Florida taxpayers
I get it.
underwrite that?
But I don't want a President Gavin Newsom doing this to conservative companies or companies who have a more conservative viewpoint.
Well, here's what I would say. I don't think there's...
So she's got kind of a good point, kind of not a good point. This is where I thought this was interesting. I mean, it is kind of BS, but on both sides. But yeah, you shouldn't. At some point, you have to regulate companies, okay? But at what point do we make that, right? And I would say at the point where it's harmful to civilians or harmful to the people of the state, right? You should be able to say, yeah, no, you're throwing sewage in the river and it's dangerous. Right, you shouldn't be allowed to do that, right? Not you support LGBTQ people, or you made a movie with a gay character, so we're going to take away your subsidies. Now now we're not doing it because it's harming people. We're doing it to harm people, to harm a company.
Well, and then on top of it, in a sideways way, it's sort of like, it's like censorship. We are trying to, in a sideways way, censor you without looking like we're censoring you.
Right. Hang on one second. So yeah, I agree. What you're doing is you're essentially, when you censor it, especially like that, is you're saying to other companies, okay, if you don't support whatever social policy, right, or policy I'm interested in, then we're going to punish you too. Now, who does this end up punishing when we're talking about LGBTQ people? Well, we punish Disney for supporting it. So now if your company supports LGBTQ causes, we're going to punish you. So this is political punishment.
Right.
This isn't like we're doing this to help the people or for the benefit of society. We're doing this because we want to target a specific group. I mean, it's more fascist, kind of what he's doing. She does make a good example of this. You can't say, well, they got this extra benefit, we had this agreement, and now I'm taking it away. But that's not a punishment. She makes the good point of, well, so I get sexually harassed and then punished for that, even though now I'm getting paid the same as everybody else. You did take something away from me to make a point, right? So you're still making that point either way. You can't sit there and say you're not. And then, of course, she's like, well, I don't want, like a Democratic president coming up and saying, well, we're going to punish conservative companies for that. I'm like, well, I don't disagree either. If you want to say you're a Christian company, I don't think the government should be able to sit there and go, well, we're going to punish you for being a Christian company, or we're a Jewish company or a Muslim company. There shouldn't be that kind of issue. But what I do think is to the point where you're a company and what you're doing is harmful to people, and that can be shown, which is why we go to court over these issues all the time, then yeah, there should be a regulation. But he's just full of shit on all this. He's just trying to spin this out of the line because he's got nowhere else to go. But we'll go through this. This is Brian Tyler Cohen is talking about this with this interview. We'll watch a little bit more of this real quick. So I think Brian Tyler Cohen makes an interesting point here.
Any arrangement in America that mirrored the arrangement Disney had in Florida for many, many decades. I mean, I think it was a unique situation.
Nothing quite like Ron DeSantis trying to explain that the thing he did and bragged about isn't the exact thing that he did and bragged about. We literally all saw with our own eyes Ron DeSantis brag about punishing Disney, and now he's insisting that he isn't punishing Disney. When you have Megyn Kelly, a former Fox host who is very clearly aligned with Ron DeSantis on issue after issue, calling him out to his face like this, it's pretty clear that DeSantis' stunt against Disney has backfired and that he's wholly unprepared to answer for it. But for the sake of argument, let's break down exactly why what he's saying is complete BS.
So why can't Disney oppose your law?
They can.
And why can't they promote this agenda in their viewpoint without being punished by the state?
They're not being punished.
Oh, they're not being punished? Really? Ron DeSantis should probably take that up with Ron DeSantis. Here he is literally saying that he's going to punish them by putting a jail right next to their property because they dare disagree with his Don't Say Gay law.
You know, one of the things they tried to do was put restrictive covenants on the land that the district owns. So if you look at this whole special district, Walt Disney Corporation obviously owns a lot of it, but the district owns other land. You know, quite frankly, I wasn't even thinking about that land. This was not something that was really important one way or another. We just wanted them to live under the same rules, pay the debt, pay the taxes, all that stuff. Oh, but come to think of it, now people are like, well, what should we do with this land? And so, you know, it's like, okay, people have said, you know, maybe have maybe create a state park, maybe try to do more amusement parks. Someone even said, like, maybe you need another state prison. Who knows? I mean, I just think that the possibilities are endless, and so that is now going to be analyzed to see what would make the most sense. And
so it is. I mean, that's just it's all. I passed the Don't Say Gay bill. Disney says we disagree with it, right? I then start punishing them. Right now, I'm threatening to build a prison by them to lower their property value. Right. And what is Disney World doing? They're looking at maybe we should start moving more of our stuff to California or Colorado.
Right.
And let's just forget Florida. And right now, that's probably not a bad idea since the NAACP has a travel warning in Florida because they're not friendly to Black people or Hispanic people. Right. LGBTQ people have been warned not to go to Florida because the laws are not in their favor. And immigrants especially, are fleeing the state. And the state is now tanking financially. And they can't get people to work the farms. They can't get people to work the construction. I mean, he's basically, in a few years, driven the entire state of Florida into the ground with this social war nonsense, with this anti-woke bullshit. And he's just a soulless kind of guy, and he can't figure out why he's getting tagged in the polls. I mean,
yeah, Florida's really going downhill. Like, I know that he's got his perspective and his viewpoint, but the things that he's doing is literally, he's setting up the economy of Florida for huge issues. Tourism is a really big deal for the state of Florida. And if you have Disney moving, a bunch of their stuff in other places, that's not going to be good for tourism. Not that I'm all about us, trying to do things just to appease one particular company. Like, we
Sure.
can't necessarily be letting that happen. But at
No.
the same time, like, you're literally setting up a situation where you're almost encouraging them to take their business elsewhere, which maybe is not really the best interest of the state.
Well, right. And the other issue on that with is, look, when you make a deal, whether you're a state government or a federal government or a corporation or even an individual, right? When you make a deal and then you renege on the deal, you go back on it like he's doing, what does that tell everybody else? So if I wanted to start business in Florida, right, and I needed some sort of deal with the state for a tax benefit or to get some land or something like that, right? And we cut a deal with the state, but he just screwed over Disney. Why wouldn't he fuck over me? Now you can't trust the state of Florida to keep their deals, right? So now, if you're a major corporation, if I'm Amazon or something like that, and I want to build a facility there, I'm less likely to sit there and go, yeah, let's look at somewhere else other than Florida.
Right.
Because Florida, we know, will go back on everything. So.
Right. Florida looks less reliable.
Oh yeah.
To the eyes of a corporation at that point.
Any business. So yeah. Speaking of people so he's tanking in the polls. He's tanking the state of Florida. Speaking of other genius.